All right, I think we're live. Got some people watching. What's up? We got Unforgiven, MDZ79, Lucius, Advisor Grunin here. Thank you guys for joining so quickly. Obviously, the title is gonna get some people in here probably ready to defend. But before get into the main topic, I do want to talk about a few things. One thing I want to talk about, because I seen a couple people commenting, heard this through the grapevine that some people think that I don't when I don't agree or somebody doesn't agree with my opinion, that I don't take it well, and I'll discuss that a little bit. I want to talk about Digital Foundry, and I was listening to Next Gen 720's podcast last night, and I couldn't. It's one thing to debate facts. I never want to debate facts, but and then to say that someone's opinion's wrong. But I just wanted to yell through the screen of my phone. I've never heard people be so wrong about something, like, and when there's facts to prove the opposite. So that would be a situation where, yeah, they don't agree with me on how I feel about Digital Foundry, and I'll elaborate. But at the same time, they were just like literally factually wrong. So I want to talk about that. Then I'm going to give my pros and cons for the Xbox Series X and the PS5, and why I feel like it's neck and neck for which one. If I was going to buy one at launch, it's neck and neck, but for completely different reasons. Each one has something I really like, one or two things I really like, and then it's just some bonehead things I'm just like, I can't buy that. I can't buy that. And then we'll get into my thoughts on Nintendo, the latest slap in the face, if you will, to fans with the Fire Emblem charging us for a NES, game that should be part of the NES Online, and then the Joy-Con drift solution being, drop the price of the individual one so you don't have to spend $50 or 80. If you have a Joy-Con that has a drifting analog stick, you can just spend 40 and buy one. All right, don't watch his. Oh yeah, next gen. It's just one of those things, like, it's funny to hear these guys go back and forth. They're just fanboys. But sometimes it's just like, you guys are just, you're literally wrong. Like, this isn't an opinion here. You're literally wrong. So, all right, start off. So I seen some clock that shared a screenshot of a comment section with a former member of our Discord chat, and he was saying that he had to leave because I didn't agree with him and I was name calling him and stuff, and it was like, and I've heard that Red Knight, apparently Red Knight said that about me, like I can't handle someone that disagrees with me. And I mean, I do challenge people a lot, I would say. I'll give an example. Retro Death recently started playing Super Mario Galaxy 2 again. He only had like, it was 60 or 80 stars out of the 120. I think it was close. I don't know the exact number. I'm sure he'll correct me. And I was like, dude, what don't you like about this game? And he's like, well, you got these great levels, but you play them twice, you get your 2 stars, and you're done, and you never play them again. And I was like, yeah, I mean, there's more levels. There's the same amount of stars, or actually more stars. There's more levels. You don't spend as much time in each level. But I said, you know what? You don't know this yet, but you'll unlock the green stars, and then you get to go back into all these great levels that you said you wish you could play more. And each one has 2 or 3 additional green stars that where you have to go and play through the levels again. Some are in the beginning, but some are towards the end, and you get to experience these great levels again. So your complaint, the first one you told me, is actually not true, and I might not have said it in the way that, like that, but it basically, you should be happy one of your complaints is not true. So here you go, you get to play these levels 2 to 3 more times and enjoy these great levels again. And so it was like, I get that you don't like Galaxy 2 as much. I get it. But your first example you gave me is factually wrong. you get to play these levels more. That's, you could say that I was just couldn't accept that he doesn't like Galaxy 2 as much, but at the same time, I'm pointing out that complaint, which he later said was a minor complaint, out of all of them, is just completely null and void, because you do get to go back and play these levels 4 or 5 times total. And there's actually more levels. There's more stars than Galaxy 1. So you actually get to play more level variety. And then, even though, like I said, you play them, maybe there's 2 stars on your first time at that level. But once you unlock the green stars, there's 2 or 3 more stars. So you get to go back and play these great levels. So that was an example I would give where I was just like, yeah, I was challenging him, on that. I think he's, obviously I disagree with, I think Galaxy 2 is better than Galaxy 1. But if you're going to give me an excuse or a complaint and I have a factual counter to that, that's not an opinion, there you go. I'm going to give that to you. So in the case of the guy on Discord, it was Bluntsy, and he left the Discord, which is fine. We just didn't see eye to eye. But the problem I had with him, and there's been other people, is making statements without knowing the facts, or without knowing, one of the biggest ones I remember was talking about how on Xbox you have to pay to send messages to your friends. You have to pay for Xbox Live. I said, no, you don't. You don't have to pay for Xbox Live features like sending messages, sharing screenshots. And he just argued with me. I said, dude, Xbox Live is free unless you want to play online. Then you have to buy Xbox Live Gold membership. Then you have to pay, and that gives you party chat, and you can play games online against other people. And then when I brought that up, he just quickly switched to a different point, completely unrelated to what we're talking about. And I told him he debates like OJ, because OJ does that. I have nothing against OJ other than the fact that if he gets proven wrong, he changes the subject or goes and brings up a completely irrelevant counterpoint to try to change the subject. And that's what he was doing. I called him OJ. I'm like, if that's name calling, I'm sorry. But anyway, he left the Discord. I was going to boot him anyway. It was a mutual thing. But I do come across sometimes probably a little bit too, maybe I'm too, what's the word I'm looking for? Pushy when it comes to, hearing somebody say something and then, all right, well, I'm going to give you some information or say some stuff that maybe I'm trying to change your mind, but at the same time, just trying to show you if you've said something wrong. But one of the things that people don't understand about me is that I might say something, I might call you out 1 minute, and then 5 minutes, and you could even shoot back at me, say something that some people would consider pretty harsh, and 5 minutes later, I'm completely cool. Like, it rolls off, like, what do they say, water off a duck's back? Stuff doesn't stick with me. It doesn't, sticks and stones thing. It's like, names will never hurt me. Like, that stuff just bounces right off me. And anybody that knows me long enough, I know T really understands this about me, is I don't take a lot of that stuff to heart. We get caught up in it, and maybe in the moment, I might fire back and be like, damn, I wish I hadn't said that. But honestly, maybe not 5 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, I'm already moved on. Like, I don't hold grudges. I don't have anger issues. And I'm holding this movie in my hand. If anybody's seen this movie, this basically is me in a nutshell. If you know this movie, in this movie, people are forced to take a pill, and what it does is it reduces your highs, but at the same time it reduces your lows, so you don't get super angry, you don't get disappointed, you don't get depressed, but at the same time you don't get really hyped, really excited, and you're just kind of blah. Now, anybody that's watched my reactions to E3, Metroid Prime 4, Breath of the Wild 2, you know that I don't have those high highs. I'm not jumping out of my chair going, oh, like people do in their thumbnails. I just don't get those kind of highs, but I don't get those lows either. I'm right in the middle. So stuff doesn't affect me. like a lot of people I see. It's, for better or worse, it's just who I am. Um, it sucks when shit happens. Like I had to buy a new furnace this year, then I had to get a new AC unit, and it's like, yeah, that sucks, but I'm not gonna dwell on it. I'm just gonna get it done and move on. Like, yeah, that hurt my plans for some of the stuff I want to do to my house, like some home improvement stuff. Just moved out. If you let it linger. Funny enough, I'm listening to the Cranberries earlier, and "Linger's" one of their big hits. You know, but anyway, sorry to anybody if I've come across um, in a certain way, and you feel like I don't accept your opinions. And it's true that I do struggle when somebody says something complete like I'll get into the Digital Foundry stuff with the next gen guys. So I've made a video or one or two before, and I think I might even been Clocked It who kind of started it the first time I had to make a video, because he feels that what they do showing frame rate analysis between two versions of a game, two console versions, is not a healthy thing for the industry, for the community. And I feel that Digital Foundry provides the best service of any of these media, quote unquote, media outlets. What they do, and this is partial opinion, but also feel it's factual, they deliver facts. So whether it's a frame rate analysis or resolution comparisons, or just looking at a single game on a single platform and saying, hey, this game is broken, this game's buggy, these things do not work, performance is terrible for just this one platform. To me, they've always been, and they still are, the only truly unbiased entity on YouTube when it comes to gaming. I don't care who it is, YouTuber, the IGNs, all those, they all have bias. Now, maybe deep down, some of the guys in Digital Foundry, like, I forget his name, the PC guy, Alex, he loves PC gaming. He does all their PC stuff. He doesn't do a lot of the console discussions because he prefers PC. So they don't have him doing Xbox One X and PS4 Pro analysis, But at the same time, what are they doing for you? Think about it. They're telling you, all right, you have a PS4 and you have an Xbox. You're looking to buy Assassin's Creed Valhalla or the Avengers game, whatever. And you're like, all right, maybe you already know which versions you want. Maybe all your friends are on PlayStation. Maybe they're on Xbox, so it doesn't matter to you. So then what are you doing, Kat? They're completely irrelevant to you if you've already made up your mind about which version you want to buy. But if you're on the fence, let's say I got my Xbox One S, and I was debating which system to get Trials Rising on. I didn't really pay attention because I knew Switch version was going to be 30 frames per second, and I was thinking, well, I might play it online. Maybe I'll get the Xbox version. Well, it turns out it has terrible screen tearing on the Xbox version, and to the point where it made a couple sections in the levels where it would tear and kind of stutter, and it was really challenging to get through a level with no faults, and I kind of stopped playing the game. It had some other issues, and the Xbox One S version was just not a well done port. I wish I had paid more attention. I don't even know if I watched Digital Foundries. They really didn't go that in depth in that game. I wish I would have got the PlayStation version. I don't know if I had the PS4 Pro at that time or not. But so it's basically they're a buyer guide. They're a buyer's guide. Here you go. Here's factual information. Here's the frame rates. This one, it has some stutters. This one's rock solid, or a lot of times now, they're both rock solid. Xbox One X, PS4 Pro, both lock 60. Those, if you don't have a refresh console, Pro or an X, here's what the base models look like, and here's performance is really struggling in this game. How is that console war stuff? Like, that's if you can't look at that and say, all right, that helps me decide I'm going to avoid this bad version of the game. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. Like, I know this is opinions, but when you take factual information and then you twist it and turn it to suit a narrative, then that's not an opinion. You're just wrong at that point. So what they were saying is that Digital Foundry are the fathers of the console wars. They are the keepers of the console wars. And I'm like, and somebody said it in the chat, it's the fanboys who go to Digital Foundry in the comment section who have tarnished Digital Foundry. If you don't, I don't read the comments. I never read the comments on Digital Foundry. Maybe that's why I look at them the way I do. Back in the day, I definitely looked a few times. What I'm saying is I watched probably the last 20 Digital Foundry videos. I didn't look at the comment section. The console war fanboys are attracted to Digital Foundry. So in that way, you could say, but you have to be very specific. You could say, well, their community that, is been created through their videos, this community of console war fanboys in their comment section has flamed the fan console wars. But Digital Foundry themselves have done nothing of the sort. They don't have a bias. They just made a video, and it was Xbox is Xbox One X is the best way to play this game. Like 2 videos before that, it was the PS4 Pro version. Resident Evil 3 ran better on the PS4 Pro than the Xbox One X. They told you that. And then when the game runs better on the X, and it's a significant advantage, they tell you that. Like, you can't be a console war flame if you do both. If they just tell you which one is the best version of the game, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, or they praise the hell out of a Switch port, or they bash a Switch port. That's not console war stuff. That's just giving you factual information. It's like if you were going to go buy a car, and there's a video of a guy who tested, a Toyota Tacoma versus a Chevy Colorado, and they just tell you all the differences. Hey, the Colorado has better ground clearance. The Toyota has a better hill climbing crawl automated system. That's just information. You make the decision on which one you're going to buy. And somebody brought up the 360. If you watch the 360, Digital Foundry didn't talk back then. The 360 almost always had better performance than the PS3. And then went the next generation. The PS4 was a significant advantage in power over the Xbox One. So the PS4 versions. So the 7th gen, Xbox or Sony guys were saying, well, they're biased towards Microsoft. 8th gen, you got Xbox guys. Well, they're biased towards Sony. And now you got the insecure Xbox guys who had 7 years of their having, their games their system not be the lead platform. They're like, oh, look, they're not, watch, they're not going to bash the PS5 like they bashed the Xbox One. And it's like, you got PTSD, like, and I watched more into that podcast, and he's like, man, I hope it's not another 1080p versus 900p, but I bet it won't. They're not going to call it the PlayStation like they called out the Xbox. I'm like, you guys are still affected by 7 years ago when those launch games and the first year of games, when the Xbox One versions were lagging behind in the resolution and sometimes in the frame rate. Like, you're still affected by that? Like, that's some trauma. Like, seriously. They've been nothing but praising the Series X. They've been, like, if you watch the last 2 years, the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, those versions are always really close. They'll tell you when a developer didn't do anything extra for the Xbox One X. There's some games where the Xbox One X version is identical in all ways to the PS4 Pro, whether it's 1440p or 1800p or 1080p. Like, and they're like, well, they didn't utilize the extra power of the X to bump this up to 4K or whatever. And then, but when they do, they'll say, hey, Ukulele runs at a native 4K on Xbox One X. PS4 Pro, it runs at 1080p. There's no reason the PS4 Pro version should run at 1080p if the X can run at 4K. Like, That's just factual information. You know, they rarely give their opinion on it. They do have a more of an opinion piece where they talked about the reveals of the games and stuff. But I don't know, man. I feel like people bring in their own insecurities and their own bias into those videos, and then come out, and then like make up stuff like Neff or whatever his name is on Next Gen's podcast. He's like, oh man, they just roasted the Xbox One in the Rise of the Tomb Raider analysis. I watched the first 5 minutes, and they're pointing out the game developers' decisions, nothing to do with the Xbox at all. So it's like your memory tells you they bashed the Xbox when all they were doing was critiquing the game engine and the developers' decisions on a few things. Like, that's, you're bringing in your own shit to that. So anyway, that's the Xbox One X is very quiet when playing games. I mean, yeah, the Xbox One X is a really well designed system. It runs super quiet, and like they said, that they'll just say the Xbox One X runs at native 4K. The performance is more consistent. Oh no, ooh, that's flaming console war stuff. No, it isn't. It isn't. It's your insecurities thinking that. It's your bias, because they said something about the system you like that you didn't like. You know, as a Nintendo fan, they're almost always positive about Nintendo. The Wii U generation, they were praising all the exclusive games running at 60 frames per second. You know, and then the Switch. When Ori and the Ori and the Will of the Wisp is an amazing port, they do a 20-minute video about it, speaking of how impressive it is. But when it's a shit port like Outer Worlds, they call them out. Like, I just keep repeating myself, but they're the only ones who will call out developers, publishers, for their bullshit. If there's a bad port, like Outer Worlds, you know, some people defended it on Switch. It's just a bad port. It's missing huge chunks of geometry, trees. The performance is just unacceptable. Load times are ridiculous. You don't want to know that. You want IGN just skipping over that stuff. Oh, that's an 8 out of 10. You know, like, you don't want to know before you buy something if it's optimized for the system you have. Like, I just don't get that. But anyway, Xbox Series X, PS5, pros and cons. So I wrote down some stuff. I'm going to try to go. I'll probably forget some things. So I kind of want a new console just because I got a new TV with HDMI 2.1. It's a 4K 120 hertz display, and I kind of want to have a new system here by the end of this year. Every time I think I've settled on one, something comes up. Something gets announced, or we figure out something that I don't like. So for Xbox Series X, the biggest pro is just the hardware itself. It's super quiet. It's fan speed disc, almost inaudible apparently. Has the power covered. You ain't got to worry about that. The design of it's simple, but it's a smaller shaped box. You know, it's just non-obtrusive. It'll fit in your entertainment stand, and it's got a lot of power, and it's well designed. The other biggest thing is how it handles backwards compatibility and upgrades from current gen games. So a lot of backward compatible titles get upgrades to 4K, 60 frames per second, auto HDR. I mean, that's huge for me because with my LG OLED, HDR is just amazing. And there's YouTube videos now in HDR, and I watched Digital Foundry's talking about HDR, and they show Panzer Dragoon Orta on original Xbox. That game looks phenomenal in HDR. Like, holy crap. Like, it looks amazing, and it runs at native 4K, and it's locked 60. I'm guessing that game's probably pretty expensive, and if you have it, that's an awesome thing. If you don't have a good HDR TV, obviously that feature isn't going to mean anything to you, but for me, that's an awesome thing. The free upgrades, way more consistent with, obviously Xbox One games that came out in the last 2 years, Gears 5, looks freaking amazing on the Series X now that they showed the actual upgraded footage. Ori's going to get 120 frames per second. Forza Horizon 4, I imagine, is going to look stunning. It's going to look better than Dirt 5, that's for sure. Hopefully, Flight Simulator comes out soon and looks great. You know, that's just the way to do it, in my opinion. You know, you're putting out this system, same architecture, x86, still AMD. You know, it's got more powerful CPU, which is technically a different architecture CPU, but you just got a super powerful GPU. Put it to use. It's amazing that 4 generations of Xbox systems on one console. If you have the discs, obviously there's no digital versions of the original Xbox games that I know of unless they were on the Xbox Arcade. You don't, like, I can get rid of my Xbox, my 360, you know. I've been holding on to them just because I have a decent amount of games for each system. I got like 20, 25 games for the 360 and probably 17, 18 games for the Xbox. I know T thinks that's nothing, but to me, that's for a non-Nintendo system. That's a lot of games. PS4, I have 19 or 20 games now. To me, that's a lot of games. I don't usually buy it. The Wii U is pretty much the only exception where I had like 40-something games. So that's just awesome. The quick resume feature, we talked about it on the Juices Loose podcast. People don't understand it. It'll be like the analog stick, like Rumble, like the home button on a console. There will be no going back to a system where you have to watch a 2-minute load screen to get back into your game after you shut the console off or after you switch games. Like, that to me is a game changer, and that's one of the pros. So for the PS5, it's a little bit different. My biggest thing I like, which may not pan out to be anything utilized, is the controller itself. It looks great. I love that they're pushing features. They're not stripping it back like Nintendo. They're not taking things away. They're keeping what they had last generation or this current generation, and they're adding new things. I love that about it. And the controller just looks amazing. I'm guessing it's going to be super comfortable. But they kept the touchpad, you know, which also has buttons. They kept gyro. And then they added the better rumble, basically HD rumble haptic feedback in the triggers. And they actually have a game that comes with the system that utilizes that. And it's not 1-2 switch. It's more, you know, Astro's Playground. It's more of a basic looking 3D platformer. But the controller is the number one. The other thing, continuing on the trend of trying new things and not just stripping things away, not taking away the Miiverse and not, you know, taking away certain things, they're adding to it. So you got the new card system. You can now you can watch a friend's gameplay in the picture-in-picture mode. You can talk to text people. It'll talk and translate it to text. How quickly it just jumps in. It can take you to a specific part of the game. Depends on the type of game, but let's say I was playing like ukulele on the Xbox, and I knew I needed to go into this level to get I don't even remember what the collectibles were. And it'll just take me right there instead of, you know, having to go back to the menu and move to the level and stuff. It's just small things, but they're trying new things. Whether they turn out to be awesome or not remains to be seen. The other thing is they've shown some new games that look really good. Visually, more so than gameplay-wise, but the gameplay stuff will come. I have no issues other than Spider-Man with a lot of the exclusive PS4 games I bought. I've enjoyed almost all of them. So you got Ratchet and Clank. The PS4 game's mediocre. This one looks better, but looks visually really impressive. Demon Souls. Yeah, it's a remake, but it looks really visually impressive. We've seen tons of gameplay of PS5 games, and I'm excited for the future more so than the launch. But Astro's Playground, I definitely would want to play that. Sackboy, yeah, it's coming to PS4, but that little snippet we saw of it on the UI video for PlayStation looks really good. I want to play that. I'm not going to buy it on PS4. If I know I'm getting a PS5, I'll just wait and play it on the PS5, unless, the PS4 Pro version and the PS5 version are indistinguishable. But it's a game that I want to play. That Kana, that's coming to PS4. But again, I'm not going to wait, or I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to keep buying games for the PS4 when I know I'm going to have a PS5. I want to start building my collection. And it's just, you look at Xbox, and you don't even have those cross-gen games. They talked about it, but there isn't any. Just the ones that are already out. We don't know of any future games other than Halo that are cross-gen Xbox Studios games. So you can't, Miles is PS4, Sackboy's PS4, Horizon's PS4, but Xbox, what games do you know about are coming out to Xbox One in the next year? So anyway, let's get to the cons. So Xbox Series X looking pretty, must have. And then I start looking at things. Well, there aren't any really must have games that I don't already own. I want to play Ori again. I'll play Forza Horizon 4 again for a little bit. I want to finish Gears 5, but there's not even an Astro's Playground. There's not even a Sackboy, it's coming to Xbox One, but I really want to play it on the Series X. There's not even that game this year, or even next year that we know of. The biggest bummer that I was all dead set secretly, I was getting a Series X, is I want to play Rocket League on my TV, and I thought, well, the Series X will be the way to go because I'm used to the Xbox One controller for Rocket League, and I'm sure it'll have 120 frames per second in 4K support. On my TV, I can be in the comfort of my living room playing Rocket League for hours. I don't have to be down in my basement on my computer anymore. And then you find out that you have to have Xbox Live Gold to play Rocket League, which is a free-to-play game. You still have to have Xbox Live Gold to play it online. That was a kick to the nuts right there. Because I can play it for free on PC, and it looks great on my PC and my monitor. So I'm like, I'm not paying for Xbox Live Gold just to play Rocket League when I can play it for free. I can play it for free on the PS4, the Switch, and PC. Why do I have to pay to play it on Xbox? That was a huge blow to me. I don't know why they chose to do that. I don't need to use party chat. Just let me play online with randoms or squad up. I don't need to chat with them through the Xbox. Just let me play. It's free to play everywhere else. So I guess that's the same way for Fortnite and other free-to-play games. So that sucked. The other thing, I'm not a huge fan of the current Xbox interface. It's not a deal breaker, but I really don't like using the Xbox One right now. Ever since earlier this year, they changed the UI, and I just don't like it, and they just kind of stuck with the same thing. The next thing, I like the controller, but they didn't push it further. They added a share button, but they're the only ones now that don't have gyro, so that's going to hold back the industry, because if they all had gyro, then I guarantee you at least some companies would start utilizing it more often. So that kind of bummed me out. Pro or cons for the PS5 is just the confusion and inconsistency with the upgrades for, current gen games. Put it in the PS5. Spider-Man, you just play it backwards compatible, basically in PS4 Pro mode. Ghost of Tsushima, you get a 60 frames per second mode, which is nice. I wish more games would do that. Then they have the whole Ultimate Edition Spider-Man, $70, and that's the only way to get Spider-Man remastered on PS5. This cat, I tell you. But then it doesn't carry over your save files, and it's just like, what are we doing here? That's stupid. The other thing, is the save files. There's games where the save files just don't carry over if you upgrade. That makes no sense at all. And then the other part would just be the size of the PlayStation itself, and the fact that it's white or light gray, whatever it is. I just, if it was dark gray with black and blue, that would be awesome. I'd probably end up painting the damn panels. The other con of the PS5 is the internal memory. It's 825 to start, but it's 664 gigs available for games. So 664 gigs. My PS4 Pro had, I don't remember exactly, 820 or something. So it's not like a massive drop, but at the same time, these games are going to get bigger. And if I do want to play, let's say, Ghost of Tsushima and take advantage of the PS5, it has to be installed in the internal memory. So that game's probably going to be 100 gigs. The one caveat to that is how quickly the solid states can install games and stuff now, that it's not going to be a big process. And really, do I need my 18 games I have installed on my PS4? Do I need those all installed right now? No. I mean, honestly, it's really unnecessary. The only reason is like installing Doom Eternal. If I had deleted it, would take a while, and by the time it gets installed, I might not even want to play. That I don't think that's going to be an issue as much this coming generation. But one of the cons of the Xbox, even though you do have 802 gigabytes available out of the terabyte, is the expandable storage is $220 for a terabyte, and in that terabyte you have don't quote me on this. It was mid 900s to low 900 gigs available for $220. Now, there isn't any confirmed compatible NVMe drives for the PS5, but currently a terabyte's like 130, 140 bucks. But it might be more expensive if they're fast enough. Either way, I have a feeling it's going to be about a $50, $60 difference. And that might not sound like a lot, but that's enough to almost buy you a game. So, yeah, that's another con of the Xbox and kind of the PS5 is, the external memory or additional memory is going to be a little expensive. I prefer having it internal. It's a 5-minute process or less. I guess once you plug it in the back of your Series X, you'll never see it, but at the same time, it's not the type of thing I want to be taken in and out a bunch of times, so does it really need to be easy access, removable? I'm not saying it's a negative, but it's not really a positive over the PS5, because taking off that plate takes, 30 seconds or less, and then screwing in an NVMe drive, putting the cover back on. I mean, it's a 5-minute job. You do it one time, you're done. It's like the new 3DS. You had to take the screw out, take that back panel out, put an SD card. Yeah, it sucked. I did it once. I never had to do it again. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any others. So I'm really torn, because I could see myself getting a PS5, playing Astro's Playground, picking up Sackboy, playing Ghost of Tsushima with the upgrades this year. I mean, that's enough to get me through to the end of the year. And then I know that that Kana game looks really compelling. We'll see how that final game looks. I'll probably pick up the Horizon sequel. God of War is supposed to be 2021. It's definitely going to be some games I'm going to want. Plus, if there's any third-party games, I honestly don't think there's going to be much of a difference between the PS5 and Series X as far as visuals and performance. I really don't. If we want to do some quick calculations, I'll show you guys something. People don't like to do math. So the Xbox One is 1.3 teraflops. The PS5 was 1.8. So the Xbox One is actually 72% the power of the PS4. All right, 72%. Remember that. PS4 Pro is 4 teraflops. And Xbox One X is 6. So that's 66%. But did you see a huge difference? Other than the resolution, basically is what that difference was. And maybe the PS4 was like 4.5. I don't remember. But PS5 is 10.3 divided by 12. 85%. The PS5 is closer to the Series X than the Xbox One was to the PS4, and way closer than the PS4 Pro was to the Xbox One X. You're not going to see much of a difference between the two versions. One might just run at native 4K, one might be 1800p. One might be a more consistent 60, one might have a little more drops. Neil Elias says he's not getting a PS5 until revision. Sony systems run hot and they've always failed before. I've never heard of anybody having a system, a PS1, 2, or 3 fail. Obviously, everybody, if you look it up, every system's had failures. People have had to take back. PS4, I know Clocked It has an issue with his, but I didn't have a problem with my Slim or my Pro. And I think they've addressed the cooling situation. If you're worried about the cooling situation after you've seen that heat sink, saw the liquid metal, and saw the fan, I mean, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. It's your opinion, but trust me, they've solved the cooling situation. You're not going to have to worry about it. It might put out some heat, but it's putting it out. It's not keeping it in, and that's what's important. But just the size of the system, I mean, it's just huge. It's just really huge. It's a bummer that it's that big, but if that's what it needs to be quiet and cool, I'm fine. Most games play the same generation after generation. I mean, you could say that about everything. Nintendo, yeah, I mean, they make innovations to their 3D Mario games, and they finally made a big change with Zelda with Breath of the Wild, but Kirby's plays the same every time. Yoshi's play the same almost every time. Mario Party's play the same every time. Smash plays almost the same every time. You know, they all have... they don't try to reinvent the wheel every time. I mean, it's basically the 3D Mario team. Mario Kart games play very similar every time. You know, I feel it's a 3D Mario team, and finally Breath of the Wild, and Skyward Sword to a smaller extent, finally starting to... Well, the 3D Mario team does it every time, but they're consistent. They always have new ideas and stuff. But everybody follows similar formulas. I mean, Uncharted 4, yeah, it's a similar gameplay experience, but the improvements to the stealth and the shooting alone make going back to the first 3 games like almost not impossible, but it makes it really unappealing because of the improvements. So small improvements to a proven formula I have no problems with. I don't, but if I didn't like a game, like I said, Ratchet & Clank 2016 didn't do anything for me, so I'm not super hyped to play Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, even though it looks stunning. I'm not like super excited to play the game. Unlike Age of Calamity, which I am super hyped to play, considering that Hyrule Warriors was fun, but it wasn't a game I was ever really needing to play again. So that's in a case where they can take a similar formula but add enough. Nintendo's main dev teams don't make... I know it sucks that their main teams, their best teams, can't make every game, but this teams that do make these games, the Game Freaks making Pokemons, and the Kirby team, I don't know if that's... Cat, move it. Even though that's not the main teams, I'm sure they have the resources, and maybe I don't know who's in charge, but they could take some risks. They could make some changes. Do a Kirby's Epic Yarn, but on a whole nother level. So let's get into Nintendo. What I find got to talk about this again. The 2 new things that drove me to make this was the Joy-Con announcement video or tweet, whatever it was. Hey, you can now buy single Joy-Cons for only $40 because they were $50, and then the pair was $80. So you drop the price of the singles to $40, so you buy 2, it's the same price. Why was it ever different? Why was it ever $50 for 1? I guess the packaging, come on. I forgot about that. That was stupid in the first place. The Joy-Con drift is real. They're denying it, even though they do fix it for free for people. But to me, this feels like their solution to the problem is to take $10 off a single Joy-Con so that when your Joy-Con starts drifting, you just have to spend $40 now to get a new one, not $50 or $80. There you go. The more I think about these fucking Joy-Cons, should be $30 a piece, $60 for the pair, maybe $50 for the pair. They're not doing anything special. They're just tiny. They're uncomfortable. They're not ergonomic. The button layout, everything. It's no D-pad. There's just no reason these things should be as expensive as they are. And the fact that they think that this is something we're celebrating is just a joke. And same with the Fire Emblem announcement. They get this big trailer showing Marth and Smash and all this, and then it's an NES game, never before localized for the US except for the remake on DS. This NES version that you can buy for a limited time on the eShop, an NES game. The one thing about it, or the few things about it, is that it does, I guess it's emulating it, but it also adds some of the new mechanics that people like from the Fire Emblem series. So they updated the battle system and some of the elements to modern Fire Emblem standards that most people like. So on one hand, it's like, why is this not part of Nintendo Switch Online NES game collection thing? On the other hand, they did something with this game that Nintendo didn't even do with the 3D Mario collection. Does anybody know the price of this Fire Emblem game? So it sounds like they've done quite a bit. I guess it even runs in widescreen. I didn't see that for sure. So then it makes the 3D All-Star collection look bad, but at the same time, you can't say it's never been localized before when there was a remake of it on DS that was localized, and it's an NES game. $50 for the collector's edition, and you only get a digital code, which is worth $6 in their eShop. So the game's $6, which isn't a bad price, but at the same time, why did they make a video with it? Why does this have a special release date video made for a $6 NES game, and there's a $50 collector's edition? Get the fuck out. I didn't even know that. This should have been part of the Nintendo Switch Online. Like, here you go. Here's another reason to own the online. Here's another bonus for you that pay for the online. And then at the same time, parts of it make 3D All-Stars look bad. That's the other thing, 3D All-Stars. I mean, T, I can't wait to see what you put together for the interface. Seeing all the clips of the glitches in Sunshine that were maybe there in the original game, but they didn't fix. Like, the more I think about how 64 doesn't run at 60 frames or isn't widescreen. Sony and Apple are the same. Apple fixes their products quickly, even though some of the defective, so not a lot of complaints. Oh, that must have been, I was talking about Sony earlier. But Sunshine still has a shit ton of glitches. They ruin the controls. Every time I watch like Dragon Feeney play it or somebody post a clip, you can't walk with the Switch version. For some reason, 64, somebody made a good video. 64 actually the best since the N64. The Switch version of Mario 64 with the Pro controller has the best range of running, walking of any version of Mario 64. It's the closest to the original. But Sunshine, you just barely touch it, the analog stick, and he's running full speed, and he was super fast and slippery in that game anyway, and you lost the ability to walk slowly. And it's like, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, only on Nintendo Switch. I seen the ad today or yesterday. Only on Nintendo Switch. Get the fuck out of here don't say that shit. Yeah, with that title, it is. But don't put only on Nintendo Switch for a Wii U port. That just pissed me off. So this year, just like 2018, and people are going to not want to hear this again, but Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon remake, $60 remake of a Game Boy Advance / DS game. I don't give a I don't care about the unlimited hours of content. It's just randomly generated dungeons of the same layout, the same shit over and over and over. You can't walk in Pikmin 3 either. Something about the analog sticks with the Wii U and the Switch. Some of these ports it doesn't work bringing it over. But so we had Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Xenoblade Chronicles. I mean, I don't know if Clocked It's still watching this. I know you played and beat the game. I think you're the only person I've seen even share a few screenshots. Maybe a few times you shared screenshots of that game. I didn't see anybody else. I don't know anybody else in the Juice to Lose podcast that's been playing that game, and then any people I follow on Twitter, I don't remember seeing anybody posting screenshots talking about how great it was to play that game again. And I mean, that's a separate topic, but it just seems like it came out and it didn't get the fanfare. And then, $60 for a Wii game. Okay, they put work into it, but still, another old game. Then now we're getting Pikmin 3 Deluxe. We got 3D All-Stars. Now we're getting an NES Fire Emblem game. They all got like announcements, like it's like something to be hyped about. Yeah, I think you shared a few times. I wouldn't say it was a lot, or I missed them because I don't remember seeing that. But you're the only. I don't remember anybody else sharing screenshots from Xenoblade Chronicles. Like, oh my God, look at how good this area looks now, because there's that whole debate about it being a full remake. But so that how many old? Let me write this down here. So Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Pokemon, Xenoblade Chronicles, and if I'm forgetting some, Pikmin 3, 3D All-Stars, I'll count that as one, and then Fire Emblem, so that's 6, and these all got like announcements with release dates and shit, like, yeah, the whole, we'll talk about that on the Juices Loose podcast, the code in a retail case. I didn't even know that. So we got 6 like games Nintendo's advertised as, new games or big games or whatever you want to say. And then we got Animal Crossing, which was a AAA banger. That was a quality game, quality effort. Paper Mario, that's another game other than Clocked It and a few other people. Seemed to be well received, like, a good game, no doubt about it. It wasn't a great game. It wasn't some revolution or anything. It was, probably along the lines of Kirby and Yoshi, maybe a little bit better. And then now we're getting Age of Calamity, which is a collaboration. Nintendo's done quite a bit of work. So there's your 3 main games. And then people want to throw in Clubhouse games. That just annoys the shit out of me. Clubhouse games, I could even count that as another old game. That was a DS game. Yeah, they probably added some new stuff, but those are just board games. If you think if that goes into the new game category to like prove your point that we're getting more new games, if that's the game you got to rely on to make your point, then that says volumes right there. I seen somebody else putting Mario Kart Home Tour or whatever as a new game. It's like, there's some cool stuff in there. Just make sure you stay really close to the cart, because it doesn't have very long range and it has to be line of sight. There's some cool stuff in there, but think about this, honestly. So you're going to play a cup. 4 races. Is it 3 or 4? I think it's 4 races. So you set up your living room. You take the time, you drive the cart, you set up the course. So you play that course. Next race. Now you got to set it up differently. Okay? And maybe that's fun the first few times. And you got to play the third course. Now you got to reset. Damn, hold on. Can't reach. Hold on. Cat was just going to be stuck, so. Anyway, how many times are you going to want to reset the track to play that game? Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there, no doubt, but it's not a new, I'm sorry, it's not a new game. It's a toy. It's an RC car. I've had RC cars, and guess what? They're really fun at first, but waiting to charge them all the time, and it's just going to get old really quick. But I don't count that as a new game. Sorry. If you do, that's a little side. Mario 35, that was another game. Come on. That's just a free-to-play little temporary eShop game. It just takes Mario. Yeah, it's got some cool stuff in it. But again, if that's your ace in the hole with Clubhouse Games to prove your point that we've gotten more new games this year, then that says a lot. I mean, as far as my total is, there's 3 games: Animal Crossing, Paper Mario, Age of Calamity, which the Zelda team did work on quite a bit, and it looks amazing. Versus Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Xenoblade Chronicles, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, 3D All Stars, Fire Emblem, and then early next year we get 3D World. So 3 new to 7 old in the course of like 13 months. That is not a good effort. That is, coronavirus, Sony and Microsoft getting new consoles out. Companies are getting multi-platform games that they had to make work on 7 different platforms: PC, Xbox One, Xbox One X, PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5, Xbox Series S, and Xbox Series X. Sorry. 8 different versions. There's companies getting out games where they have to have it work on 8 different platforms, and they're getting the games out this year. Some got delayed, but still. Let's see, Lucius. People are so bored with Mario Kart Home, they have to make posts about their cats attacking the car on Twitter. Yeah, that's true. So, maybe Nintendo's handled. Maybe they're not as capable of working from home. They weren't ready for it. They're not as good with the technology of this, and this, whatever. Yeah, I got some Smash DLC characters out. I mean, cool. But is that a new game? Like, what did the PS4 get out this year? They got Dreams, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima. And it's last year. And then at launch, Sackboy, which will be at PS4, the Demon Souls remake. Miles Morales is kind of a smaller game. Not a ton of games, but still, during the coronavirus, they're getting all this out. And they're apparently God of War's 2021 and Horizon probably 2021. So, I mean, Xbox, Halo got delayed. Ori came out kind of broken. That Grounded game came out to no fanfare. They haven't really had much themselves, but at the same time, they bought all these companies that had just finished games, so it was going to be a while anyway. But Miles Morales, it's definitely DLC at this point, and I don't know if you've listened to me before, I think Spider-Man PS4 is one of the most overrated, probably the most overrated game this generation. There's just not a lot of gameplay. What's there is quick time events, button prompt, like simple one button. Like somebody was playing that game with one hand, I think, and they showed all this cool stuff happening, and they put their camera down and they're playing it with one hand. Spider-Man, to me, other than the cool aspect of swinging through the city, and is a kind of a joke. So, I want that. I want Spider-Man. I wanted it to be good. I want Miles Morales to be good, but I don't think Insomniac's capable of making a great game as far as gameplay. So, yeah, definitely Miles Morales. And that whole situation is just stupid. Getting back to the PS5 cons, like, how do you fuck that up so bad? Somebody paid $60 for your game back in 2018. They don't have the option to get this remastered version that you guys made. You made it, so why not release it to the people who bought it? Now I gotta spend $70 more to play Spider-Man Remastered? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's unacceptable. I mean, that right there instantly changed my mind about getting a PS5. Yeah, it's only one game, and it's a game I don't care about. The fact that was allowed to happen, that right there was, I was secretly, and I'm telling you this now, I was just going to have a PS5 the podcast after it launched. I was going to have it in the background, not tell anybody. That was been my plan, like, since early this year. But once this bullshit with Spider-Man got announced, I'm like, hell no, I'm not supporting that. And then your save file doesn't even transfer over. If you do spend $70, let's say like me, you're 30, 40% into the game, you have to start over. There's no save file transfer. It's just stupid. Yeah, I mean, I've had Game Pass twice this year, Rel. I played two games. I just don't get Game Pass. I just do not get it. It if it had, let's see, when Microsoft gets the ball rolling and they have all these new games coming, that's one thing. All it has on it right now are old games. Ori's on there. Great. I played and beat Ori. Forza Horizons 4 is on there. I love that game. I own it. I beat it. Gears 5, it's okay game. I never finished it. If I owned it, I probably would have finished it. Control's on there. Great. I own Control or whatever. I don't know if that's on there. Doom Eternal's on there now. Great. I own Doom Eternal. I already bought it. I'm not going to wait for games to hit Game Pass. And by the time they do, it's like, I'm trying to think of what this is comparable to. Oh, I was thinking this the other day. Because Blu-rays, I feel like Blu-rays life existence is short. I don't think they're going to be seeing a lot of Blu-rays. If you look at Best Buy now, the shelves are just tiny. So I see all these Blu-rays on sale, $4.99, $6.99, and so I'm like, sweet, what can I get? All the ones I want in the bin, all the ones I would buy, are the movies I already own. Every once in a while, there'll be one, like Overlord was in the Walmart for $5 or whatever. All the other ones are like, oh, that's a good movie. I already own it. That's how I feel about Game Pass. Oh, that's on Game Pass? That's cool. Hollow Knight's on Game Pass? Cool. I already own it. I already beat it. It's like, the only things left on Game Pass are games I skipped there's a reason I skipped them. They didn't look good. They didn't look interesting. The Witcher 3. Never looked interesting. All right, I'll try it. It's on Game Pass. 3 hours in, I'm so freaking bored. Like, what do people see in this game? I stopped playing it. Downloaded, what was that damn game? Metro, the newest one. Glitchy, buggy mess on my Xbox One S. It's just an absolute buggy mess. Looks terrible. Game. It's just linear, and I'm just like, I'm not feeling this. 3 months I had it. I played Rocket League for 10 hours back when it was not free to play. I played Gears for 2-3 hours. I played Witcher 3 for 2-3 hours. I played Metro for an hour. I played Alien Isolation for an hour. In 3 months. Like, if I wanted to play these games, I would have played them already. Like, just because they're there doesn't make them better. Just because I have Netflix doesn't make me want to watch. Trying to think of the movie that was just on there. I was like, yeah, I just don't care about this movie. Amazon Prime Video has Gemini Man for free for Prime members. I didn't want to watch it at the theater. I didn't want to rent it on or buy it on Blu-ray. Now that it's free, I still don't want to watch it. I just don't want to watch it. Being available on the service that I have doesn't make it any more interesting to watch. So, Falcon Black is on a tear. Play Mario 64 for the 20th time and be happy, Nintendo. Yeah. Yep. That's Nintendo in a nutshell. I got in a bit of a tangent there with Game Pass. I just don't understand the Game Pass. It's a nice service. If you got it, maybe a few games you check out, but I just don't. I've said this before. Maybe it wasn't clear enough. It's not that I'm not a gamer, but I have other hobbies. Like, I have my home theater hobby. I watch a lot of TV shows, not on like on Netflix. I just finished The Expanse, my third time through The Expanse. If you're not watching The Expanse and you like sci-fi, you're missing out. Amazing show, 4 seasons, fifth season's coming out in December. I just finished my third viewing of that entire series. What did I just finish? What the hell was it? I can't think. Oh, The Boys. I finished The Boys. Season 2, really like that. I actually watch a lot of shows more than once. I feel like shows are even better the second time. If you like a show and you've never watched it a second time through, you're really missing out. Trust me. Some of my favorite shows of all time weren't my favorite shows until I watched them the second time through. Continuum, I think that's on Amazon Prime, sci-fi show. Watched it the second time through earlier this year. Amazing show. So I watch a lot of shows. I watch a lot of movies. Anybody who's seen my YouTube channel, and those that haven't, I didn't plan this, but let me check OBS just to see how this is going to look. So let me get this over here. I did a home theater renovations, upgrades, and I've been posting stuff about it, but not everybody. A lot of it's actually on my phone, a lot of the pictures. Let me see if I have any. Yeah, I don't have any of the newest pictures on my phone or on my computer, but I'll just quickly show this. So I got new carpet. This was my old carpet. I put acoustic panels up. This is just some velvet that I wanted a small upgrade. See how the reflection in this tower speaker? I put this velvet up and it just completely absorbed it. But anyway, I've been doing a lot of this stuff. Let me get to the better pictures. Eventually we'll have. All right, so then I took the carpet up. They put down some mud to level it out. Padding. New carpet. And I put my panels back up and got a really nice room. Then new carpet looks great. Then I got a new couch, which I love. Put some LED lights around it. I think there's some of those. Yeah. So now it glows, and then I put some around my screen, which I don't have any photos of. So I'm watching a lot of movies. I did a lot of this year. It took a lot of time, a lot of my free time. That was like a little preliminary around the screen view. But anyway, I did a lot of that. So I've been watching a lot of movies and a lot of shows. And I just honestly, I just play, I wouldn't say just the big games, but the games that really draw my attention, I make sure I play those, and everything else. I've just never been one of those people. I know T's here, he made fun of me for my 360 collections, like 25 games or whatever. That's a lot of games for me for one system. That's probably the second most behind the Wii U. Wii U, I had 30-ish big, major games, physical and digital, and then another like 20 eShop, virtual console type games. So that's most games I've ever had. But yeah, I think, I'm really looking forward to Age of Calamity. And depending on if I pick up one of these next gen systems, Dirt 5 looks like a fun game. So if I got one of those systems, I might pick that up or something. But the carpet's really thick. I don't know how those carts would go. And there's only a little bit of room on either side of the couch. But, at this point, I've played 4 games. I played Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Doom Eternal, The Last of Us Part 2, and Flight Simulator. Obviously, Flight Simulator doesn't have an end to it. The other games I beat, I haven't played any. I've played games I've already played before. Like, I played a little Breath of the Wild. I played Rocket League a ton. Played a lot of 3D Mario games this year. Galaxy, I finally got 240 stars with 241 stars. Finally did the Luigi last 2 levels. Galaxy 2, I got 241 stars. I didn't get the last one yet. Played a little Odyssey. What else did I play? I've been playing things here and there, but I haven't started and finished a game this year that I had never played before and then finished. So other than the 3 I listed, usually I would pick up an old game. Like last year I played Devil May Cry 5, and that actually came out that year. Did that come out last year? What did I play last year? I played something that was from a previous year, but usually I play a game from a previous year Uh, and then like God of War, I think I played after. I can't remember. Either way, I've only really played 3 new games this year, or 4, and that's it. Just continue to play Rocket League and stuff. So I really don't need to play 10, 20 games a year. Like I'm happy playing the ones I really want to play. Continue to play Rocket League. Every once in a while, I'll play Smash, which we haven't played in a while. Play Breath of the Wild. Every year I play it for a certain amount of time. I haven't touched it too much this year, but I've actually played my Wii U more than my Switch this year, which is weird. But yeah, so I'm just rambling at this point, or waffling, as they say over in Europe. So I'm gonna end this. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. I know my title was pretty clickbaity, and I didn't even really talk about Furukawa specifically, which I feel I'm regretting that, because that was I think he's the main reason that Nintendo's been as greedy. Looks like ever since he took over, the focus has been on re-releasing old games. It's working, so obviously that's becoming a good moneymaker for them, even though it comes at a cost of your fans, your loyal fans. Some of the loyal ones will buy them anyway. They'll buy every Wii U port. Am I right? Am I right, Rel? But some others, we're feeling really left out. We're feeling like, what the hell why do I have my Switch if you're just going to release all these old games, and they're almost all of them are $60. Joy-Con drift being ignored. Kimishima, he took over. He kind of didn't really do too much. He just kind of kept the ship afloat, and Iwata's plan and the releases that he had set up all happened in 2017. But I think Kimishima, then to Furukawa, I was kind of hoping he was going to take it in a different direction. He didn't. He's taken it even further in the wrong direction. And it's just sad, man. It's just sad. I do feel like Nintendo is a joke this year. I feel like, yeah, Animal Crossing, technically it's supposed to be out last year, but it came out this year. It's a really solid game. People that love Animal Crossing absolutely love the game. They don't have too many complaints. Paper Mario didn't make much of a splash. And then Age of Calamity, I think, is going to be amazing. Even though the style game it is, I think it's still going to do 2, 3, 4 million. It's still going to be a big seller, just because of the Breath of the Wild attachment. So I'm excited about that. But imagine if we got a Age of Calamity type game. Not every month, but every other month. 5 times, 6 times a year. Like, is that asking too much? The Wii U DS or 3DS generation, we got that. The Wii DS generation, we got that. Is that asking too much for 6 quality new games in a year? With all these dev teams? Like, maybe 2021 we'll do that, but it's like, I don't think that's asking too much. Well, Sony only gets out 2, 3 games. Well, guess what? PS4 gets every freaking multi-plat. They get every game everybody loves. All the casuals love. They get all those games plus at least 2 really high quality first party games. And then they still, put out experimental games like Dreams. They did, Gravity Rush 2. Those aren't as frequent as they should be, but, they still put those types of games out. They put out their big high budget games and their quality games. They don't need patches. They're not buggy, like them or not. They're quality, well-made games. Maybe the gameplay isn't there. Maybe they're not, maybe it's more cinematics than actual gameplay. But if you like God of War, I didn't expect to like it. The combat saved that game, or not saved it, but really propelled that. Once you get into the combat of God of War and you start upgrading, you're facing the what were they? Fuck, can't think of them now. They're winged, almost like angels. They had a name, but the combat system in God of War was really good. At first, it seemed too basic, but man, I really enjoyed fighting some of the more challenging enemies. Um, I would put that ahead of, even though Astral Chain had some cool ideas and some cool moments, it wasn't as fun to play, I didn't think. Let's see. They got no choice for 2021. They have to go all original Switch games, as there are no more Wii U ports to rehash unless they go with HD Wii games. Well, they got a Wii U game coming in 2021 called 3D World. Switch has been getting some third party as well, but they all run subpar even with sacrifices graphics. Except for Ori. Ori is like as good as the Xbox One version somehow. I don't know how they pulled that. I mean, Digital Foundry told us how, but it still doesn't make sense why it runs as good as the Xbox One S version and looks as good. But yeah, you're right. Outer Worlds come. It's kind of a mess. No fanfare. Come out way late. Doom Eternal. Where the hell's Doom Eternal? What's the problem? Is it... I mean, I played Doom Eternal. If you haven't, I can tell you the problem. It's the last boss fight. I guarantee you that is what they're struggling with. And some of the other boss fights. The last boss is a titan. He's huge, and you're fighting... He constantly summons all the hardest enemies with all these effects. You're fighting there's 30 enemies on screen with effects going, plus this giant titan that you're fighting. I don't know how that's going to work on Switch. I just don't know. And if it's going to run, my prediction is it's going to be 480p in docked mode during that fight with frame rate drops. But even when it comes out, it's been March, so 7 months. Furukawa. The Switch itself is just, it's a good idea. It's a really good handheld. It's the biggest leap, I think, in handheld. It definitely isn't any less than the jump from Game Boy Advance to DS or DS to 3DS. I mean, I think 3DS to Switch is bigger than DS to 3DS. I mean, it's a huge leap for handhelds. I know why people love it as a handheld. The first Doom did run pretty well, but that game, I mean, I can run that on my old ass graphics card at 1440p at 80 to 100 frames per second. It's not that demanding by today's standards. But 2021, I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance we'll get Breath of the Wild 2. There's a chance we'll get Monolith's newest game. There's a chance the 3D Mario team has something new, even though 3D World kind of tells me that they're not going to do that. But, there's obviously some surprises that could happen. Bayonetta 3 could come out. I'm a little worried about that game, which I've said in the past. But I mean, with 3D World, I just really I would be really shocked if they put out another 3D Mario game. Cat's just all looking a little sad back there. So Breath of the Wild 2, I think, is a guarantee. Bayonetta 3 is a possibility. Bravely Default 2, which I don't care about, but it looks like a good game. Monster Hunter Rise, Monster Hunter Stories. There'll probably be a new Pokemon game. And then, maybe, they got some Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong level game. Something along that lines. It could be a good year. I don't expect it to be an amazing year. Maybe get a Switch revision. I do think the Switch Pro coinciding with Monster Hunter, it just seems too obvious. Because Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate launched with the new 3DS. And Majora's Mask remake with the new 3DS. It just makes sense to do it again. Because, like T was saying, Monster Hunter Rise looks pretty good. I don't know if that footage was running on a Switch Pro. Or if that's what the actual Switch version is going to look like, and then it's only going to look better on a revised version. I wouldn't be shocked though if that was running on a Switch Pro. But but what do you guys think? Appreciate everybody for being here. I wish I would have got to the Furukawa stuff earlier, because now I'm going really long, and I wanted to keep this shorter, but of course I can't. So, but I guess if you're watching this on the replay and you made it this far, I'm sure people have already typed. I'm sure I know at least one person's already typed 3 paragraphs for everything I said. But Series X, PS5, pros and cons, Nintendo, their output, Digital Foundry for those that didn't see the beginning. I highly recommend. I mean, I'm not one to debate with people, but I feel like the Digital Foundry hate comes from, like I said before, people bringing in their own insecurities, their own bias, and watching a video that's just basically giving facts, and then blaming Digital Foundry for how people react to it. I just think that that's kind of silly, and I think they're the most pro gamer, pro consumer of the media / YouTube creators in the gaming industry, gaming community. Really, obviously they want to make money, they want to get clicks, they want you to watch their videos, but at the same time, they're calling out this company, they'll call out this company, they'll point out flaws in a port, they'll praise a game. Like, it's just them stating facts and letting you know, like, hey, this game runs bad, or hey, this game runs really good on Switch. I just don't see that in any way, shape, or form as a negative. And I truly think if you find Digital Foundry, or you watch a video and you find it bias or something, it's your bias that you're bringing into it. I don't think there's any bias with those guys at all. I just think they love technology. They love talking about how games are made, and they do tech analysis, like where no one else was really doing anything like that. They found a niche and they grew a channel on it, but they also have some really good in-depth content about creations of games. So I'm really interested in hearing somebody try to give me some actual factual information other than the comment section of Digital Foundry being biased, because I've never seen it myself. But anyway, go watch the beginning of this podcast, or yeah, I guess that's what it is. Let me know what you think. Appreciate everybody for tuning in on a Saturday, and we'll see you on Monday for the Juiceless podcast. And yep, Joy-Cons are trash, absolute garbage, ergonomically garbage, button layout garbage, Joy-Con drift garbage, playing it sideways as an actual controller garbage, no D-pad garbage. It's just the worst mainline controller since, in my opinion, since the Sega Genesis / Master System, or I didn't play a couple of them, but Joy-Cons are just absolutely unacceptable garbage, and I'm going to leave it with that. Nintendo hate to the max, and but we'll see you on Monday. We'll talk about a few things, and then yeah, that's all I got. So we'll see you next time.